Hello, Year 11. Welcome back to part 2 of Fluency 7. Question 13. Make y the subject. We can see that our subject is inside the brackets, so we need to expand first, because to make the subject means to get y on its own. So first step is to get y on its own. We leave the left part as it is, and we expand the brackets on the right-hand side. Now we need to get y on one side, and we can do that by successful elimination. Again, we need to get rid of the 3x, so the 2y stays on its own. The opposite of positive 3x is negative 3x, and we'll do the same to both sides. We are left with this equation. Our last step is to do the opposite of multiplication. In between the 2 and the y, we have multiplication, and the opposite of that is division. So dividing both sides by 2, that would leave our subject on its own. And this is the final answer. Question 14. Complete the table of values. To do these sort of questions, we just need to substitute our x, the given value, into the given equation. So let's do the first one. 2 lots of negative 2 plus 4. After we work this out, we would have the value of y, because this is equal to y. 2 lots of negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4, add 4 would give us 0. And I will do the same for each one of those values. 2 lots of minus 1, plus 4, minus 2, plus 4, that would be a positive 2. If you didn't do this question this way, just pause it now, have another go, and then replay the video. We have 2 lots of zeros, plus 4, 0, plus 4, it's a 4. And then the last one, and then I double check if the question is asking me for anything else. It's not, it's only asking me to complete the table of values, and I'm done with that. Question 15, factorize. To factorize means to make brackets. In this case, the other part of the quadratic is missing, so we will have just one bracket. When we have 3 terms on the quadratics, like this, this is 3 terms, so you will need double brackets. But in our case, we're missing the last term, so we'll have only one set of brackets. So we're looking for a factor that goes into both our terms. I can see that with the numbers, 5 goes into both of them, so 5 comes out of brackets. At the same time, I have an x in here and an x in there, so x needs to come out for both of them. So let's see what I'm left with after I've taken the 5x out. 5 times 2 gives me a 10, and x times another x would give me an x squared. So that would be the first part of my bracket. Now I need to figure out the second part of it. I have a minus. So after a 5x has come out of the 15x, I'm left with 3, just 3, and I close the brackets. I double check. 5x times 2x, 10x squared. 5x times negative 3, 15x. So I know that I've done that question correct. Simplify. Question 16, simplify. I have x to the power of 12 divided by x to the power of 5. I check that the bases are the same. They are. So I know that I have to put the base down. I know that when I'm dividing powers with the same base, I just subtract the powers. So the answer here is 12, take away 5, and that worked out is just x to the power of 7. As simple as that for that question. Question 17. If a car travels at 40 kilometers per hour, how far does it go in 12 minutes? We know that these questions require a box method. Let's just do that. I have kilometers, and I know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So it's very useful to use minutes instead of hour, because we have on our question 12 minutes and we have 1 hour. So we need to convert the units to be the same. Otherwise, we'll find it very difficult to work out the question. Okay, this is what's given to us, 40 kilometers in 60 minutes. I know it's 60 minutes because it says an hour. And then the next part of the question asks me, what about in 12 minutes? How far will it go? This is the box that they're asking me for. Now that I've drawn it this way, I know now that I can just use for the connection. 16 to 12 is divided by 5. So I'll do the same to the other side. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Go back to the question and see what it asks me. If a car travels at that speed, how far does it go? So we know now that it goes 8 kilometers in 12 minutes. That's how far it will go. Question 18. This is an estimating question. So we know that to estimate, we round to 1 SF. We'll do just that first. So that'll be a 3 times 892. So the decider here is bigger than 5. And that will change the 8 into a 9 to the cube root of 27. The cube numbers round to 2SF for easy calculations. All we do now, we work out. 3 times 9 is a 27. Take away, you need to ask yourself, what number did I multiply by itself 3 times to get 27? And that is 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So it's 3 cubed is 27. So the inverse of it is the cube root of 27 to be 3, just in case you wondered where that 3 came from. Now working it out, the answer is 24. Moving on to question 19, solve. Okay, we have 2 equations, 2 unknowns. We know now that we have to solve a seam equation. Step 1, we label the equations A and B. Step 2, we check if the coefficient or the number before x or y is the same, if any of them. And I can see that the numbers before the y are the same, and those numbers are just 1. We don't write them, but they are 1. So we do not need to multiply the equations to make them the same. All we need to do now is eliminate the y. Because the numbers are the same, we can just eliminate them straight away. You need to ask yourself, what can I do to these equations to get rid of the y? It's a +1 and a take away 1. The answer to that would be if you add the equations together, you would eliminate the y. 3x plus 2x would give you a 5x. Y, add a negative y would give you nothing. That's the whole point of this. and 25 at 10 is a 35. Now we solve by dividing both sides by 5, and we know that our x is 7. However, we need to keep going to find out y. And to do that, we substitute x into a. So we sub x, in our case 7, into a to find y. This is why we do it. So let's do just that. 3 lots of 7s, because we have the value for 7 now, plus y is 25. Now we just solve, taking away on both sides. Now y is 4. I have found both x and y. However, before I move on, I sub these values into b to check. So my b equation is 2 lots of 7s, take away a 4, which is y equals to 10, and I'll check that. So 14 take away 4 is 10. So I know that I have done this question correct. Moving on to number 20. I have a division by a decimal, but we know that division by a decimal does not exist. So we will need to use equivalent fractions to make this calculation possible. Let's do just that. We write this sum as a division, as a fraction, sorry, because we know that division means fraction. And now our aim is to turn our denominator into an integer. The 3 sits into the 100th column. So I know that I need to multiply by 100. That would give me a 3. However, I also know that whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So the answer in there will be 1,530. After I have multiplied the numerator by 100. Now it's easy for me to do. All I have to do is a bus stop method. 3 into 1 doesn't go. 3 into 15, 5, no remainder. 3 into 3, 1, no remainder. 3 into 0, 0, but you still write it down. So my answer to this question is 510. Question 21. Simplify, expand, and simplify. I have double brackets. So depending on how you were taught, some of you were taught using the chocolate box. So x, and we have a plus 6, x, and a minus 3. And then we'll do this multiplication. X times x, x squared, 6 times x, 6x. 6, sorry, this 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and x times negative 3 is negative 3x. All we have to do now is collect like terms. So we have an x squared. When we collect positive 6x with negative 3x, would give you a positive 3x. And then the negative 18 cannot be collected. However, I'm going to do the other way too, because I know that some of you work with this other method. So it'll be only fair to show you that. So x times x, x squared, x times negative 3, negative 3x. Then we have 6 times x, positive 6x, and 6 times negative 3, negative 18. Now we collect like terms, and these are different. Simplify, adding negative 3 to 6. So on the number line, you would start with negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So this is your starting point, and you are going to add 6 to your line. So adding 6 meaning that you go up by 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There. Positive 3x, negative 18. So again, it's the same answer, depending on the method that you did in school. Number 22, factorize. For factorizing, we need to do the opposite of expanding. So we need to have our question to end up like the one that we did in number 21. So we know that we have an x there and an x there because this is x squared. And the only way to get the x squared is if we have the two x's multiplied together. Now we also know that this number here and the number there, those two together multiplied give us 8. So let's consider the possibilities. To have 8, we have 1 times 8 to give us 8. We have 2 times 4 to give us 8. Also, we have negative 1 times negative 8, they give us 8. And negative 2 times negative 4, they give us 8. However, what we need to remember is that when I add these two numbers together, I get 9. Because in here, like if you look at question 21, when you added this p naught here, or when you collected the like terms, you added them, you collected them together. So I know that this is the pair that I need to put in my brackets for it to work. Because when I add 1 and 8, I get 9. But when I multiply 1 and 8, I get 8. And now you check that you end up with the same answer. X times x is an x squared. X times 8 is an 8x. 1 times x, it's a 1x. And 1 times 8 is an 8. So this is what we just got from the expanding it. And we could, when you collect these two together, you get a 9 as in your question. So we know now that this is the finished answer for question 22. Question 23. The diameter here was 15 and it's asking me to calculate the perimeter. Perimeter for a circle is the same as circumference. We just call it different, but it's the same thing. So we know the circumference, the formula for it is pi d, where d is diameter from one edge of the circumference all the way to the other, going through the middle. The diameter goes through the center. Okay, now let's just substitute in. So we know pi to be 3.14 and diameter to be 15. This is a very simple calculation using Gelosia. So let's quickly draw our Gelosia grid. Excuse my drawing. We have a 15 and a 3.14. So it's a 15 there, and a 3, a 5, and a 1, a 20, and a 4. Sorry, my pen is not working. So let's just add this up. 0, there will be an 11, adding the 1, 6, that's a 7, and that's a 4. So we have 3.14 times 15 to give us 7.1. Sorry, I have a 4 before that. Let's grab that. 4710. Now you ask yourself, have I finished? The answer is no, because you haven't put the decimal point in. So you can do it 2 ways. From the grid, you take it along. or from the question, you have 2 digits in the question after the decimal point, so you can count 1, 2 digits. So in your answer, you have to have 2 digits after the decimal point. So if you count that 1 digit, 2 digits, so the decimal point will go there. Your final answer is 47.1. Question 24. What are the integer solutions for the given inequality? For you to not miss out any numbers, because when we've marked papers before, we've noticed that a lot of children miss numbers that are in between. This is what the number line looks like. And it carries on to infinity in either direction. The question is asking you, what numbers can x be to be in between the -5 and the -1? So it's asking you for all these numbers in between there. You can see them: -4, -3, and -2. The -5 and the -1 do not get included in the list because in the inequality sign, the equal underneath it is missing. As a result, this is the answer to that question. So please mark all of these questions, correct them. Hopefully you got them right, but if you didn't, correct them. And if you have any questions, please email me or Mr. Kempner, and we are happy to help you.